All right, guys. Hi, welcome to our first of two financial literacy NIL webinars. And we've got our friends from Northwestern Mutual who help us with all sorts of stuff. Our etiquette dinner's coming up for our seniors. And then in the fall, our friends from Northwestern Mutual always help us out with our career night. So you may recognize, it depend on if you're in the session with her, you might recognize Carrie Lemke. So I'm going to introduce Carrie. She again has helped us for several years now with this sort of information, as well as some of our other events like the etiquette dinner. So Northwestern Mutual is a great partner. They're going to give you again, great info, but also a little spiel on what they offer for internships and stuff. So if you're looking for that sort of thing, I know they're going to plug that. So I will just go ahead and get out of the way, turn it over to Carrie, who will then introduce our friend Sheldon as well.
Yay, hello. Thanks, Roy. It's always so great to come back and hang out with SLU students. You all are such leaders in the community, other organizations. I mean, we speak to a lot of campuses, and I'm always super excited to go to SLU and also Mizzou just because I went there. Okay, so y'all can like deal with that for a little bit as well. But tonight we're excited to hang out with you all. I haven't asked though, if you are hanging out, tuning in, we would love some camera experience. Anna, thank you so much. Just because we do this a lot, yes, thank you. We like some interaction. I know you might be putting this on in the background while you're studying. Oh, thank you, Margaret. Love it, right? We just love to hang out and interact. But tonight, I'm not going to be speaking to you all about finance because no one really wants that. But my role at Northwestern Mutual, so I am the Senior Director of Campus Recruitment and Relations. So it's this big, long title that essentially means I help lead our initiative with recruiting for our internship program and other opportunities within the firm. And then I also represent our company on campuses. So partnerships, bringing personal and professional development to campuses as well. So that's really my role here and why me and Roy have worked together with you all for the past few years, which has been a true honor. So maybe you recognize me, maybe you don't. But tonight I have Sheldon McGrath here with his fancy background, Zoom background, and he is going to be speaking to you all about Finance 101, right? Basic, some good financial literacy that me and Roy were just talking, like maybe at the time as a junior, sophomore, senior, I was like, how hard can it be? And now I'm an adult, almost 30, and I'm like, oh my gosh, why did I never listen during these parts of the class, right? So hopefully we're not expecting you all to walk away with all the answers, but hopefully a few nuggets that will help you all when you go on to make big decisions, right? Post-grad or even while you're in college here today, potentially making some fun money there. So ask all the questions. We're going to have some interaction piece there. But without further ado, so Sheldon was actually an intern with us. What was it, like 2 years ago, Sheldon?
2020, yeah.
Yeah, 2020. So pandemic, I know that was probably triggering for everybody, whether you were graduating high school, beginning college, whatever may have you. But he was actually a student athlete also at Fontbonne, so he has a little bit of that experience as well. So hopefully you all can ask maybe some questions around that. But like I said, he started as an intern with us, finishing up school with Fontbonne, and then went full time with us. Not this past January, but the January before, correct?
Yeah.
Okay, great. Time is not on I'm not great at timeline. So yeah, but now he's been running his advising practice for a little bit now. So he's a financial advisor with our firm. So Sheldon's going to take it away. I'll be here. I can man the questionnaire for you, Sheldon, if you need anything, but I'll turn it over to you.
Yeah, and we'll make it, like you said, it'll be kind of interactive. Today will be, at least. Let me share my screen, the correct screen, so everybody's on it. Cool. And let me know when you all can see what I'm seeing as far as the Finance 101.
We got you.
Okay. On? Awesome. And if I'm not looking directly at the camera, obviously I am. Just got a couple screens up at the same time. So, but really, no, thanks for having us, Royce. Especially choosing me to kind of talk with everybody. Again, I was a student athlete, so was just in everybody's shoes, just like you are right now. Mine really not focused on money, more so about where you're going to work after school. But I think this is a great time to have a conversation because I work with clients who are, they're 50 years old and they don't know what a lot of this stuff is, and that's a crime all by itself. So, so without further ado, we'll kind of just dive through this PowerPoint. We'll make it interactive and kind of just talk over, how we can kind of better yourselves knowledge-wise going into the real world. Whether it's seeing this NIL money coming in or seeing money, from an internship or opportunity right out of college. So kind of a little bit background about Northwestern Mutual. We are a AAA rated company by Moody's and Fitch, which means we're held at the highest credit level when it comes to our industry, which that's a big saying, who we are, what we are. And we work with people of all ages, all careers, just around full planning. We do investments, retirement planning, insurances, etc. What does your relationship with money look like right now? So with everybody, kind of on here, kind of not on here, I don't know what your relationship is with money, but I guess Anna, I'll pick on you just because I can see your screen. But have you, I guess, what is your relationship with money? Are you working right now? Or are you just going through and getting your degree? I'm guessing with being a student athlete, you probably are pretty busy.
I do work on the
Okay.
weekends for the most part, yeah. But it's
Okay.
up to like 20 hours a week.
Mm-hmm. Do you put like money back do you have to like pay much expenses right now, I guess, with that? Or right now you're kind of just putting money back?
I pay for a decent amount of stuff,
Mhm.
groceries, gas, and my rent.
Yeah. Okay. So the discretionary expenses, and that's some of the most expensive stuff, depending on the lifestyle. But has there been like I guess when you see this question, what does your relationship with money look like? No, we ask that because at Northwestern, we truly believe a lot of the way our clients, they view money as they get older is how it started when they were younger. So do you have like a savings philosophy in place right now with like, how much you try to put back, or right now it's kind of just, you make it and kind of just live off it?
So I've been working this job for a little bit over a year now, but I'm independently contracted. So I have to save a certain amount of my money for taxes.
Yep.
So that's like my main savings at the moment. And I'm just kind of like paying whatever expenses I need to currently, like my rent, my food, and my gas. And then anything left over, I'm just trying to save up and keep for myself for stuff like spring break or clothes.
Yeah. So you were actually a great person to pick on because you actually already have the savings philosophy in place, which is awesome. And that's how it should be. You have a certain amount you're putting back, which we'll get to about the whole taxes situation, but you're putting money back towards taxes, you got your discretionary expenses, and you got some personal savings. And really, to kind of dive through the main slide, this is like a big one here I like to talk on. So once you start seeing, when you're in college, it's kind of tough to do this, right? Anybody can do it at any point. It's percentages, not number based. But let's say whenever, you guys start seeing your jobs, out of college, or you start seeing an internship that's paying, a pretty good amount, whether it's commissions or something, just know the goal you want to start putting back or try to annually throughout the entire year is 20% towards future goals. So, and that doesn't mean that money needs to be going towards investments or anything like that, but like 20% towards like your savings, if like you have a short-term goal, right? Or just 20% in general, that's what you need to be putting back towards future goals on a yearly basis out of everything you make gross. So that's a good way to kind of look at it. And then as far as like emergency savings, right? This can't always fluctuate, in college, but do you have like a certain emergency savings, like an amount you don't like to see it go under right now? Or is it kind of like, as far as, living in college life is a paycheck to paycheck a lot of the time?
I try not to let it go below what I would need to pay for 2 months rent.
2 months rent. Perfect.
Yeah.
So you were giving me the right answer too. I was kind of looking for. So good. So, and that's perfect. The number we like to advise our clients, if we were talking with anybody at any kind of level, it doesn't matter how much you make, 3 to 6 times worth is where you really want to be. And that's when like, hey, anything that comes into play can't come in and swipe everything without insurance being involved, whether it's for a car, home, or something, right? So just know like that 3 to 6 month is what we like to advise a lot of our clients. But for you, right, it's 2 months, 2 to 4, right? Anywhere in there. It fluctuates with everybody. I think it's more important for an individual just to really figure out, hey, how much do I need with my lifestyle to have back, and then the rest of it can work for me. Because put in perspective, a lot of people aren't aware of what their savings really is. Your savings account, right? That's not there to grow money inside of. It's there to hold money, and it's on average, a lot of times it's going to grow about 1%. So usually just know this, when it comes to saving money, just know that that money in your savings is there for really short-term needs or emergency fund, but anything over that amount you're comfortable with, if you have a goal anywhere outside of 2 years, do some research on your own or come to an advisor. Not saying it's me or anybody, right? But just go find help or do your own due diligence to kind of see where you can kind of get some growth to have it working for you, so you have something to show for it in a couple of years. So that's a good slide to kind of touch on, though. And this is a really good piece too. There will always be unexpected expenses, right? It's called life. 39% of all Americans wouldn't be able to cover an unexpected $400 expense without using a credit card or borrowing the money. So, which can cost even more money in interest. And I'm going to guess, are anyone in this video like pretty aware of kind of like what interest is or how does it work? Or yeah, you do know? It hurts when the number's higher and you got higher interest, like houses right now and stuff. So but for those of you who rewatch this video, just know that interest is not your friend. It isn't. No, loans are needed. Now there's a way to get money to work for you by utilizing a loan. Make sure you're paying attention to what interest rates you guys are locking them in on, because right now obviously houses are up, but you don't want some 30% interest personal loan on something. I've dealt with that before, and just try to really keep track of what interest rates you're kind of locking yourself in on. 6 months of living, talk about that. Okay. You just graduated college and accept an offer for your first full-time job. You'll be taking home $40,000 a year. How much do you have in an emergency account? How much you'll be saving each paycheck to get there? Like we were saying earlier, 20% in the emergency account. That really kind of depends on you. 3 to 6 months worth. But just know that's what 20% you're talking about. And I guess really, how familiar are you with or anybody out there with credit cards? Anyone? Yeah.
I don't use a credit card.
Okay. Have you ever thought about put much thought into I guess obtaining one, or kind of just have you ever had anybody come up to you and talk about it maybe?
Yeah, I've thought about it. I think currently I'm just working on paying for whatever I need to pay for right now. And I think whenever I have a more stable situation, then I would use a credit card.
Yeah, absolutely. Fully agree. And just kind of keep an idea, just a heads up, a great resource for credit cards out there, people, is NerdWallet. No, it's a SEC and FINRA backed website. Those are a lot of our regulators. They look at that stuff and they approve of that website. That's where you'll see ratings for companies like Northwestern on there. And it's so much more plural to look at it rather than going on Amazon's website or Dick's Sporting Goods and seeing a credit card on there. It's going to give you, if you want a certain reward, whether it's travel points or something, it's going to give you a broad view of all these different types of credit cards and how to utilize them. So just know this, a credit card, again, when you have a stable income, you can pay stuff off. I would solely use it for things you can pay off. Food, gas, probably not fun money, but food and gas, are things that you're gonna use no matter what. That's a great way to kind of just build the muscle first and just kind of build your credit score. After you've proven to yourself and the company that you can kind of pay it back, call them, up your credit balance and kind of just work from there with it. So, but obviously you'll also have my information too, I'm sure, or Carrie's, if you ever want more information on credit cards, feel free to reach out there. And then taxes.
Hey, Sheldon, could I backtrack a second?
Oh,
I
yeah,
just had a
yeah.
thought, go back a slide to the hypothetical, you got a new job. So
Yeah.
I feel like that could be something people on this call might be on here for, is some advice maybe for that first job. And you're already giving it, but I just wanted to kind of mention too, again, you get that $40,000 job, but the federal government takes taxes out, the state government takes taxes out, sometimes City of St. Louis takes taxes out, depending on where you work. So that 40,000 doesn't go as far as you think it will. So knowing that there's a lot of things, and then like we said, there's just things that life costs money, right? So you're gonna put gas in your car, you're gonna have to pay rent. And right now, rent is through the roof. It's ridiculous how much it costs. So making those choices when you're young to get the affordable car and the affordable place and maybe work closer to public transportation so you don't get the car, like those tough choices are going to pay off in the long run if you prioritize savings and emergency fund early on. You're going to see a huge benefit later because you'll have that cushion. So it again, whatever that first out of college paycheck is, take into account all of the stuff that life brings, and know that, hey, I've got this much that I can kind of play with, like you said, that play fund, and know that some of that, if you can somehow save some of that, and not always buy the round for the whole bar, that's going to benefit a lot. So I just encourage, you feel like, again, you're young, got a lot of time to make money, but I think Sheldon's going to get into the power of money today. The money you make today is the most valuable money you can have. So, because it can only earn you money. So I'll let you get back to that.
No, great point.
Sheldon, too, I think I added a slide in there with like a balance sheet, like example from our own resources. But I know too, I'm sure you used one as well with your client. So if we feel like that's be usable, Roy, maybe we can like send that over later and it can be added as
monthly budget sheet.
Yeah, the budget sheet. Yep.
Absolutely. Yep. And kind of as Royce was kind of talking about, right? So this is kind of like the 20-60-20 method. Now how you should be kind of, utilize your money, saving, investing, 20% of it, essential expenses, 60% of it, and discretionary expenses being 20%. Discretionary expenses are, kind of like we were talking about earlier, Anna, right? You got gas, food, fund money, those things that kind of fluctuate based off your lifestyle. And then 60% being, bills, things you can't really, control, or you can't, there's there. So that's a good little metaphor there. And then track expenses, right? This is a great little cutout Carrie has here. But, we'll also send over, a monthly spending plan. I hate the word budget, but spending plan, that is, that's something we'll send over too. I use it with clients all the time. So, it's a great resource to kind of utilize. And, I'll get ready to show you here in a sec. But, as Royce was saying, it's good to get on top of, what expenses you have, because, you got taxes, you got all this other stuff that, not really familiar with. But I'm going to show you what the compounding interest kind of can do for you if you know these things at a young age and if you start them younger. So we were talking about credit cards, right? But so the value of starting early. This slide is huge for people. And granted, I am 23 years old. I started this industry at a really young age. I got family that are really connected into financial advisors. I got a dad, 2 uncles, grandpa. But there's one thing they taught me, it was this. So with that being said, right, you see a person who starts investing at 25, $100 per month at the age of 25. They got $208,000 simply because they didn't wait. They started, and they basically just paid themselves first every month, right? If you can install in your head that method, and my advice, encouragement to everybody out here is, when you get a job, and I do this for myself, set up a plan where you're automatically making savings automated and intentional. You set something up to where it pulls money from your account every week or every bi-weekly, every month, and puts money away from you in an account that you can't touch really easy, or keeps it out of mind, out of sight, so that you can kind of force yourself to stay accountable to your goals and kind of hit numbers like this. But you see here, just being intentional at 25 years old, this individual has $208,000 to show from it. Someone who wants to start the same investment, there's nothing changed here except for their age. 35 years old, 10 years later, those people who say, I'm going to hold off, let me start it here, this is what we're looking at, they have $106,000 to show from it. Someone who starts when they're 45, 20 years down the road from this guy, this gal, whoever, 45, you got 49,000. So it just shows you there's power in starting early, but there's also a lot of risk in not starting early. And I think a lot of people aren't aware of that. People think of the risk when it comes to investing as losing money. I promise you now, like, you're going to be, you're taking more risk by kind of painting it out and kind of sitting still, right? So any questions? I mean, obviously, And if you had anything, speak up now, or if anyone has questions around this piece and how to get some money working for you, there's multiple different kind of securities and stuff we can always go over, or we can at least put you in the right direction. So this one's big. So this is called, I call it the make rotate document. This is going to explain the taxes on any kind of asset you'd ever want to secure or kind of utilize in the markets. And some of these are actually going to be offered from your employer. So this will be important. A 401k, that is an employer-based plan. I mean that wherever you work at, this is going to be offered to you. Not always, but more than likely it's going to be. It's not something you can just go out and get on your own. You have to be contracted by a higher up employer for it. When you put the money in, you're not paying the taxes a day. You're not paying the taxes that the money's growing. It's tax deferred. But you're paying taxes on the back end at 59.5 whenever you can touch that account's money. You can put up to only, this is 19K. You can actually put up to $22,500 into your 401k every year. That's the updated numbers behind it. Can't touch it until you're 59.5. If you touch this money before the age of 59.5, you pay the early withdrawal penalty of 10% plus the taxes on the capital gains. So like the growth of the money. So if you put it in your lifetime, you put in $80,000 and you have 110K, you're paying the excess $30,000 you grew. On those taxes are considered income for that year. So the biggest thing with a 401k though is the match. So if Walmart's offering me a 4% match, I'm going to do that 4% match because they're doubling every dollar I put in up into that 4%. In some contracts, that's why it'd be really tedious when you're looking through these things. Some contracts with these 401ks will say that they'll match you, 50% up to the 3rd% or something like that. So it can get kind of wonky, but just make sure you're doing that match. And if they offer you a Roth 401k, go ahead and do that one, because you got to think with a Roth 401k, you're paying the taxes today. It grows tax-free. You take the money out tax-free. And I think anybody we talk with, the goal, not the goal for everybody is about money, but, the goal is to make more money as we get older so we can live a different lifestyle or pay more expenses. So by you paying the taxes today while you're younger, making the least amount of money for the rest of your life, you're ultimately going to save yourself thousands of dollars in taxes come 59.5 when you're actually pulling this out and not working. So that's just
really quick, Sheldon. So for me personally, when I got my first full-time job out of college, I'd only heard what a 401k was, but I didn't know what it was. But somebody basically explained to me of like, oh, they take money out of your paycheck for like retirement. I was like, I'm like 22. Like, I need that money now. Are you kidding me? I'm never going to retire. Which was a huge mistake because then I didn't actually contribute to a 401k until I was 26, 27 when I started this job and was actually advised like, oh no, that's important for you, right? So I just think about like those 4 years that I lost and like back to that one slide, like maybe it won't be as detrimental, but I wish I had more education on this because this is not something my parents, aunt, uncle, cousin was like, do you know what a 401k is at 21? So that was just my personal experience. So learn from me, learn from my mistakes.
Yeah, and it's more common than most is the sad part, just because like you said, Carrie would have definitely done it if she just would have known more information around it and just no one sat down to talk with her. And a lot of people, not like Carrie did, but don't talk about it until it's too late, right? So like, talking to some of these 50-year-olds or so, that are on the verge, red zone near retirement, and to hear that they'd have never contributed to a 401k or a Roth IRA, there's a big gap there. As you've seen before, the difference from a 45-year-old investing to 25, the compounding interest. And to kind of clear the air, compounding interest is money growing off of money you didn't put in, but you grew. So like, for example, if I, say here with a Roth IRA, right? Like I was saying before, you pay tax in the beginning, grows tax-free, take it out tax-free. You can put up to $6,000 a year into, or $6,500 a year into a Roth IRA is the new IRS limit. They upped it. So compounding interest, right, is say I put in $6,500 in this first year, but at the end of the year I have $700, it says, and then the next year I'm growing money off of that extra $500 I put in. That I grew, I didn't put in. So the sooner you start that, the more money you're growing off of money you never actually contributed, but yet you grew and accumulated just by in the markets. So, but just know the Roth IRA is the most tax efficient and strategic vehicle when it comes to retirement because of that tax code on it. The way the Roth IRA works, which the difference between a 401k and a Roth IRA is that, it is an IRA. It's an individual retirement account. There's more options to invest in a Roth IRA, and there's less fees. 401ks are just higher in fees, you'll find out, just because there's multiple companies managing it. But the biggest thing about it, though, is that match. That's why they can get away with it. And anyone who's doubling your money, you're going to win that battle. So do that. Annuities, that's nothing that we really, I don't think is going to need to have to jump into today. It's more in the weeds, pays you out like a pension retirement, but no, that's something down the road. Stocks, bonds, mutual funds, that's something that it's gonna contribute to everybody's life at some point. So stocks, bonds, mutual funds, these are called non-qualified investments, securities, meaning that there's no tax codes on the account, which means you're paying the taxes fully on everything. So anytime you purchase a stock or a bond or a mutual fund, you're paying the taxes when you buy the security. You're paying the taxes every year on the capital gains, which not many people paid capital gains this year. Capital gains means like the growth on your money. So you'll pay the taxes every year on the growth, and you'll pay the taxes on the capital gains when you sell the security at the end, and you want to touch it. The reason why, you don't have to wait till you're 59 and a half to touch these accounts. So stock is an equity security, most aggressive piece of any kind of investment. A bond is a debt security. That's the more conservative part of an investment. And mutual funds, put it in perspective, a mutual fund, instead of me investing $1,000 into an individual stock or bond like Microsoft or Apple, where you can, how that one company does, your money's impacted. Imagine if I diversified your money amongst 500 different companies in the S&P 500. You got multiple, it's spread out. That's what a mutual fund is. And then cash value life insurance, just know that it's not like term insurance most of your employers are going to be offering you. It's more so basically it's like a house. Equity is growing inside of it almost. You're able to pull money from your own your life insurance policy. Every dollar you're putting in, it's growing outside of the market, depending on which company you're going through. And it's just growing outside the market that you can actually take loans against. So, but if anyone has any questions around cash value life insurance, I got myself and probably about 20,000 other advisors I can get you connected with. So no, just feel free there. All right. Protect your hard work. You get to protect. You've worked hard to get where you are today. Help protect your loved ones. Is this around disability insurance, Carrie?
Yeah, essentially it's protecting your biggest asset, which is
yeah. And that's what I was kind of thinking before I went to the next slide. Benefits. This is gonna be huge for everybody. That's anybody, because everybody plans on working. Your company that you're working for is gonna offer you benefits. Benefits at the end of the day are worth the salary almost. If someone's paying you $60,000 base salary with no benefits compared to a $50,000 base salary with life insurance, health insurance, disability insurance, it's your life. But my opinion is you take the benefits, because that is going to ride up and be really expensive. Disability insurance, this is very highly important. I've had current clients who became disabled just this past year in 2022 from getting attacked at work or something crazy's happened, just illness. 80% of disabilities are caused from illness, not injury. So your biggest asset is actually probably disability insurance to protect your monthly paycheck. Your biggest assets to go out and work, your ability to get up, to use your fingers if you're typing on the computer, see with your eyes. These are the biggest assets, because if we do all this planning for an individual, like open up these investment accounts, prepare you for tax shelters around, retirement. By the way you save today, it doesn't matter if you can't provide money because you become disabled, right? So good slide there. All right. Taxes Q&A. Aha. All right. So this is the one, Royce, that we can dive into for around the tax codes. W-2 employees, 1099, self-employed. So Anna, did you say you were 1099 earlier?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah. So you have to kind of put your own money back and stuff. And this is where I can relate to any athlete, because even if they were doing NIL back when I was playing sports, I wouldn't have received a dime. You know, I got to college and played sports, but I wasn't that good to be receiving no NIL money or didn't have like a mullet or anything like that to bring in some moolah. But with that being said, you know, I believe those are gonna be like a 1099, you know, the income you're receiving off of, you know, your business, your LLCs or whatever it is, you know, depending on what level you are in the sport and how much money you're kind of bringing in. But W-2 employees, right? That's when you're not self-employed, you're working for a company, they're providing, putting taxes, pulling it from your paycheck, which is nice because you don't have to sweat it, you know, it's no different to, you know, anyone else. But just know that W-2, they do it for you. 1099, you need to make sure you're putting back about probably 20 to 25% of every paycheck you make. That's my advice. 20 to 25%, whatever these big NIL checks y'all receive, I'd be putting back majority of those. I'd be putting back a majority of it, at least, you know, half. You know, just be expecting a tax hit with that. The government's not just going to allow that money to get spent free, especially if you're seeing it from endorsements like brands, sponsorships, TikTok. No, there's so many different ways being compensated now with NIL.
Yeah, and I just want to jump into that's a big part of why we're doing these financial literacy, is that you guys have the opportunity to make money now. Again, I don't know how many of you are, but this is being recorded. So anybody that is listening, I want to make sure you hear, you've got to pay taxes. It's not just free money. You've got to report that to the government. So these thresholds, you know, if you're a single person and you make over $10,275, now I don't know if this is the 22, again, 23 may be different numbers, but again, for what you might be paying for last year, these are the percentages that you're going to have to pay in taxes. So know this, hold that back if you're self-employed technically, right, or getting that money that's not being, you know, W-2 taxed ahead of time. And then the other thing I want to mention too, Enrique wanted me to throw in, if you are doing NIL money, if you're receiving money, you have to report that. You don't report to Enrique, you use the influencer app. So you guys should be familiar with the influencer app, probably from a meeting with Enrique. And failure to report that income through the influencer app could jeopardize your eligibility. So you have to report it so that they can track it and know that you're doing it. And again, probably provide you with some direction on how you need to pay taxes and some other implications. So make sure you guys are mindful of that if you do make any money in this current, you know, brand new Wild West NIL kind of place. So there's a lot to be figured out. We don't want you to get, you know, on the back end, get hurt because you spent, I spent all that money on the t-shirts I made. And then I will mention another thing that comes to mind, again, to ask questions about, to make sure about some things, but you may not be necessarily like, I'm the star of this team and somebody's going to pay me money because I'm so famous, but you might be YouTube famous or TikTok famous. We had a few years ago, before NIL, one of our athletes was very like an influencer, and she quit her sport because she was making so much money, and at that time couldn't, like, she was not allowed to make money and be an athlete, which again, it's great we've changed those rules, but, and I feel bad for her, I wish she was in the NIL world, but it really didn't have anything. She was like a fashion TikTok person. It wasn't even TikTok then. It was Instagram probably. But she was getting royalties and getting money and was like, well, I'm not going to give that up to be on the sports team. Again, so be mindful of any income you have and report it through influencer, or ask Enrique or ask me like, hey, is this something I have to report? And the answer is probably yes.
Yeah, great point. I mean, I had someone who had a famous cat this past week. You know, it's interesting how you can make money nowadays through TikTok or YouTube or whatever.
What was that, Sheldon? You had a famous cat?
Someone had a famous cat that, like, would click the buttons and stuff. Yeah, it was pretty interesting.
Whoa, that's wild.
I know. But and I'm glad you kind of touched on that point, Royce. Another thing to kind of point out with taxes, a lot of people think like, hey, if I make over 178,000, that you're getting taxed 24% all 178K. That's actually not how it works. You get taxed on these numbers. So like say you'll get taxed on the first $20,550 at 12%. And then after that, you get taxed at the 22%. And I remember when I was in your guys' place, I thought, man, I'm about to get 24% tax on my entire income. That's not quite how it works. It kind of moves up as your income breaks through these different thresholds over the years, or if you do it right out of college or whatever it really is in college. So, but yeah, that's how taxes are. Just keep in mind, make sure you're just putting back some money if your employer isn't pulling it out for you. And also, I'd probably if you as soon as you start are able to pay taxes, a good amount, I'd probably try to sign up for sign up or start doing like quarterly. Some people like it quarterly, some people like it annually. I find quarterly the easiest because at the end of the year you're not seeing a big whopping amount coming out if you're 1099 as well. Easier to keep up with. What causes most you? So yeah. So I know we dove through a lot in a short amount of time, but another thing, just kind of touch on, if there's obviously any questions, reach out to Carrie or myself. We can kind of talk you through a bunch of this stuff as far as taxes, investments, different accounts out there, savings philosophies. But also, if you're kind of like lost or not really lost, looking for some opportunities, I didn't find the internship program at Northwestern Mutual until I was a junior. I had this Carrie Lemke lady call me. She pulled me in. I was a soccer Fontbonne player. Just moved from basketball over to soccer, and I did that and internship. They work great with athletes, and if you not even want to be an advisor, there's so many different roles here. Great culture. I'm from Southern Illinois, and they found a way to keep me up here in the city. So I think that's just enough. So yeah, great opportunities.
Thank you, Sheldon. That was great. But any questions overall with the crew that is on here? And anything, like, you obviously seem to have it all together, which is great. Love that. Anything deeper that you have questions on of like, I'm curious of how this works?
No, not that I can think of. I guess in the future I would probably get a credit card and I would look into that. But yeah, that's pretty much it. That's all I'm thinking about for the near future.
Way to go. You got it all together and you chose to join this and have your camera up. Like,
that's what I'm saying.
Super. Great job.
Impressive.
Since you mentioned credit cards there, and I know Sheldon touched on this too, I just would say, again, be careful, be smart with what you do, but it is a good idea to establish credit, right? So like he said, use it for gas, use it for groceries, get that cash back or whatever, but don't go spending at the bar, have the cash to spend at the bar, or buy the new shoes. Like, establishing that credit helps your credit score. So when it comes time to buy that car and buy that house, you've already got it established and you're not needing someone else to sign off for you. You can gain financial independence and financial power by having good credit. So again, if you're just like, well, I'm never going to get a credit card, it actually probably doesn't work in our world. You actually need one at some point. Again, have a job. I would say get a good job first, then open up that credit card and use it, pay it off every month. And then the credit companies will say, oh, hey, let's give this person more money. When you want to ask for more money.
Yep. Absolutely.
Yeah.
And well, I was also going to say, I was going to touch base on credit cards or something else, but I forgot.
Well, I was going to say, I think what helped me was just, to your point, Roy, learning about what a credit score was and why I needed one. And then, because I'd always come up with well, why would I have a credit card if I have the money? If I have it, I might as well just use that. But then, wanting to buy house, even student loan, stuff along those lines, the credit score helps. So I think working backwards from that is super helpful.
Yeah. And also, I was going to say if anyone's parents is helping them out through college and stuff, maybe talk to them about co-signing on a credit card, having them maybe help build your credit score as you're getting through college. I had the privilege of having a dad who, that's kind of how, I was, able to get through school. He helped me build my credit score up through college. We just co-signed on together. And that way, when I got out of college, everything was kind of rocking and rolling by there. It wasn't starting from scratch. So just another tip maybe on if anyone's getting some support out there as they're going through college and parents are kind of giving them some money here and there, allowance more so to speak, that it wouldn't be a bad idea. And we didn't really dive into it as well, like student loans and stuff, like subsidized, unsubsidized loans. What's going on with things being freed up or not, loan wise. But if anyone has any questions around those pieces, feel free to get connected with us as well. And we'll be happy to kind of sit down and talk with you through it or get you connected with GradFin, who we partner with for a lot of our clients when it comes to student loans.
I'll leave this up there for one more second, just because if anybody who's watching the recording, because I'm sure everybody is going to, I know it, you can like scan that with your phone and it'll allow you to get connected and you can write a comment if it's like help student loans. I can get you connected with Sheldon or even too for opportunities as well. So you can scan that. I'm so techie. You can scan it with your phone.
Yeah.
So leave it up for a second. Anything else, Roy, that you want to touch on?
No, I think you guys did a great job. I appreciate your time. We're right at 45 minutes where I wanted to be. So thank you to the student athletes that got on. Again, this financial stuff is sometimes just timely, like, oh, now I need to think about this, right? So listening to this might be like, I don't really know what you mean or really care. But I hope that touching on some of these major points of taxes and credit and all those things and saving and budgeting are gonna be things you can use in the future. And if you have questions, please come to me and I'll get you connected with these guys or help as best I can. So I appreciate everyone's time and we will again, hopefully we've got another one on Wednesday, but you guys don't need to be on this one. Thanks for doing it tonight. But tell your friends how great it was and tell them to get on Wednesday. All right. All right. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.
Bye, Sam. See ya.
See you, everybody.